Does male come here often?
During mating season, we'll see males come through here. They're usually not very tolerant of people. They're here because there are females here.
When the mating season ends? Here,
May and June.
May and June.
Every so often we've seen males here in early July, but May and June is mating season.
This is actually more than I expected. Yeah, John, he knows everything about this island and he loves this island very much. I can feel that. As a nature guide, I would like to be like him. Yeah.
And in the reading that you had us do, there was a story about cubs crawling up a tree and crawling back down, crawling up a tree. You know, they were practicing that skill, and then Sal was communicating to them like with a woof, and then they'd crawl up, and then they'd crawl down, and she'd woof, and it was just nothing was around. It was like they're practicing that skill. Like when do cubs lose the ability to climb? I know brown bears don't climb.
Well, I was up the end of the trail at the tower, and I saw a bear that to me looked a couple 100 pounds, and it was 40 feet up a tree. Okay, so it wasn't a cub, it was well past cub. But at the same time, this tree had branches that started really low, and they were really strong, good branches. So maybe even a fairly good-sized adult could have easily, gone up there if it had some reason. And it's possible that just before I arrived, some big boar scared the bejesus out of that bear, and it ran right up the tree. I don't really know.
So they're so athletic that they don't. I mean, they're very strong and agile.
Yeah, if it's got the right tree, but it's not going to do the same thing on a big spruce with no branches.
Right.
By that time, that bear is of a size that it can't really get up, whereas a cub can still get right up those.
So Nona, it seems like you can tell the difference between a sow and a boar by sight. Is it the size of the hump on their back?
You can get a pretty good idea by the size and by the behavior. Boars aren't nearly as comfortable around people out here. They're here typically during mating season because they're following a female and they tolerate us, but they're stressed. You can see them salivating and opening and closing their jaws, and they behave very differently.
That's interesting. I would think the sows with cubs would be more uncomfortable because they're concerned about protecting but it's the opposite, huh?
There have been lots of different ideas over the years that this is kind of a nursery for sows with cubs. And it is true that we've had sows bring their cubs closer to people because I think they know that boars aren't going to come out in the open. We did have a boar out here last year that was very comfortable around people, that would walk right around the spit and came through the grass a couple of times. It has to be a Pack Creek bear. They have huge home ranges compared to females, but a boar from some other part of the island wouldn't come here and stay here with people around. We would see its back end and that'd be the end. But, Pack Creek baby. To me, that's what makes this place amazing, is this relationship.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people when we ask them to please follow these rules and keep your pack next to you, and your movements are limited and you can't just go for a walk on the beach, even though this is wilderness. But the payoff is huge. We get such an intimate look at these animals' lives. It's amazing.
And then he seems to be looking over his shoulder, checking us out, checking him out every now and then. But he's kind of stuffing his face.
But you can see them climbing on a log.